Hi guys! Welcome to my channel. Thank you for watching this video. This is your Diet Doctora, Dr. Josephine Grace Chua Rojo. And for today, we will discuss three things: sugar, season, and allergy, and how they are connected. You may think they are somewhat disconnected because they are so far from each other: the sugar, the season, and the allergies. And more so, not just allergies, but also inflammation and other diseases that are causing many lifestyle problems that we have today. So to start, we have to go back with our history. So by history, we mean the cavemen, the hunters and gatherers that our body grew up with or developed with, evolved with over time for a span of millions and thousands of years. Not the history that we can just see in the books like in 10 years, 20 years, 50 or 100 years, but going back, tracing back to 1,000 to 1,000,000 years or so, wherein our body developed to become the body that we have now, the human body of a caveman that is living in the modern day world. So if you imagine us here being in a tropical country, we are abundant with food. But honestly, by nature, we only have one harvest season in a year, and that harvest season is supposedly the only time that our body is used to taking in carbohydrates or sugar that is coming from fruits. And all the other times of the year, we are not supposed to be taking in sugar or carbohydrates. We are eating maybe nuts, but most certain root crops maybe, but mostly we are used to eating animal meat, or the ones that can be hunted or can be obtained in another times of the year. So in colder countries, they are divided into 4 seasons. One season of that would be harvest time. The other 2 would be a time of probably low to moderate food intake. But there is winter. In winter, it's actually fasting. And that is what we are trying to mimic here. Because if we don't, we are bound to experience the lifestyle diseases that causing majority of mortality and morbidity that we have in this world right now. So why is that? Because if you notice, this harvest time, this harvest season is the only signal where our body can tolerate carbohydrates or sugar intake. So whenever you eat sugar, it will signal your body, it will tell you that, oh, it's harvest time, so this is the time to build up through the hormone insulin. Whenever you take in sugar or too much protein, it will increase your insulin levels. When that insulin levels increase, your body will do its anabolic phase or build phase. It will build your fats, build your muscles, and build certain cells, for example, in your gastrointestinal tract, and even immune or inflammatory cells, supposedly to fight infections that are real pathogens like virus, bacteria, and certain fungus or maybe some parasites. However, this period of build of anabolic phase is supposedly reserved for the coming fasting period or food scarcity period, wherein you do not take in much food. You are not supposed to be eating too much carbohydrates or too much sugar. That one time, that one season, maybe a month, 2 or 3 months or so of loading up your body with sugar should be enough for the remaining months of the year when you are on a fasted state or at an episode wherein there's not much food around, just like our history, our ancestors, cavemen, hunter and gatherers did before. So in our modern world, we are brainwashed, we are cultivated, we are brought up in an idea that eating 3 meals a day is important, that eating that 3 meals abundant with at least 50% of sugar, 50% of carbohydrates, just minimal fat and protein is our supposedly nutritional build-up. This is such a very, very sad and disheartening case because our body needs to heal. and that healing process may be hindered with too much carbohydrate in the diet. If we eat 3 meals a day loaded with carbohydrates, 365 days a year, our body will go into a chronic fat storage mode. So that is a chronic anabolic mode. And what does it do when it comes to our immune system, when it comes to inflammation and infections? Instead of just cellular repair, instead of just cellular regeneration, it can go beyond that. It can go into dysregulation. It can go to cellular differentiation, wherein too much of a good thing is actually not good at all. In this case, when your body is supposed to be battling only pathogens, now because of too much of this inflammatory process, too much of this hyper responsiveness, it becomes too sensitive that even stuffs that are neutral, even things that are not really pathogens, they react. Our body reacts like it's a pathogen. And that is what allergy is all about. This is hypersensitivity. This is hyper responsiveness to neutral stuff that are supposedly not damaging to our body. For example, pollens. So pollens by nature is not damaging. By nature, our cavemen, our ancestors, those people who are actually not used to eating carbohydrates do not have pollen allergies, do not have dust allergies, but those people who are into high carbohydrate diet, high sugar diet, has hypersensitivity reaction to these kinds of what we call now as allergens. Allergens meaning it induces allergies. Personal note, I myself have a lot of allergies before. I grew up with childhood asthma and I also had allergic rhinosinusitis. But when I incorporated fasting and low carb meals in my life for more than 18 months now, I haven't taken any maintenance medications, the nasal steroid sprays, the anti-allergies, the antihistamines, and the other anti-inflammatory drugs. I have not used them, and it's mainly because I addressed the root cause, and that root cause is elimination of sugar intake. I've also had this one friend who engaged into this lifestyle for health purposes, and she used to be allergic to shrimp, peanuts, seafoods, even eggs and chicken. But the moment she removed the carbohydrates in her diet for 2 months, strict 2 months of no rice, no bread, no sodas, no desserts sweetened by sugar, after 2 months, she can now tolerate peanuts, she can now tolerate seafoods, and she can eat eggs and chicken every day without allergic reaction. So you see, it's not just the food that we are allergic to actually. We become allergic to them because as a start, we induce inflammation, and that inflammation is induced by sugar. And yes, those inflammation is not just limited to allergies. It is also the cause of inflammation that destroys the lining in our stomach that protects it. That's why there are hyperacidity, there's GERD or gastroesophageal reflux, there's ulcer. It's because the lining, the protective natural lining of the body is already disrupted. It is said that you shouldn't take anything acidic. I tell you, I love vinegar and I love lemon juices that are very, very acidic for some, but I take it as is on an empty stomach. I haven't eaten and I'm okay. It is because my lining, my stomach lining is protected because I do not eat inflammatory foods that are damaging my lining. So for those of you who have gastritis or who have GERD, who are afraid into committing into a low carbohydrate lifestyle and intermittent fasting, it's okay. You may not do so right then and there, but you can try to eliminate first the simple sugars in your diet and those carbohydrates, which includes rice, bread, desserts, sodas, drinks, and those sugary foods, and see for yourself. Give it 3 days and slowly the symptoms will be gone, and you can now even tolerate black coffee and even other foods that before might have triggered a lot of excruciating pain in your stomach. So that's how our body does it. That's the reason why sugar is supposedly to be taken just once a year. Not really one day, but one season in a year, and fast the rest of the year. But in this modern world where food scarcity is no longer a problem, our problem now becomes food abundance. Too much of a good thing. And it is now that it is important for us to incorporate intentional fasting, as if mimicking the way our ancestors did, the cavemen and the hunter and gatherers, so that we can achieve the health, vigor, and energy that they used to have. And that would be all for now. I hope you get a little from it. I will have a part 2 on the analogy of allergies and food abundance for you to be able to fully understand it. For now, I hope you get to subscribe to my channel in YouTube or follow my page, Dr. Josephine Grace Chua Rojo. Bye-bye. Stay low carb, stay safe.